Hey guys, today I'm back to my Timeless. Yesterday was a Saber, and I've got a much better, closer cut today. I have less stubble today than I usually do because that was such a crazy good shave. So we're back to my Nacet blade inside my open comb Timeless razor, and this is their knurled handle, and this is the 68 gap on the stainless Timeless razor. The brush today is a Maseto Silvertip. This is a Memphis handle. Now, compared to these super ergonomic handles from Craving Shaving, the Memphis seems all skinny and stuff, and so sometimes I feel like maybe this waist here is a little too narrow, but I think I'm enjoying it, and I'll probably get used to it. I'm going to put this in some water while I prep my other stuff. Some people are very adamant about not soaking Badger brushes, that you don't have to, and sure, you don't have to, but occasionally you will find a performance difference, especially like my, which is it, my That Darn Rob Fanturion. It needs to be soaked in water if you want a certain softness from the tips. All right, and I'm talking about like half an hour, not just a few minutes does it. And I noticed it because at the end of the shave, I really enjoyed the tips, where at the beginning I was like, well, these aren't super soft. And so they changed over time because they gradually had a chance to soften up due to the moisture. So then I finally started soaking it for longer, and I got the results from the very beginning. So here's my Nacet. This is the envelope. We'll look at the blade in just a minute. And 50 on the front and enough in the back to make 168. And here's our little counter on this side, and so we're going to put another dot there. It makes 169 after today's shave. Stirling Mountain Man is my scent for today. I really, really enjoy this scent. It's inspired by, I believe, Creed's Silver Mountain Water. Now, while I just used Matterhorn a few days ago, which is one from WSP, Wet Shaving Products, it's based on the same scent, based on the same cologne. I don't remember them close enough to know how well this one compares. My first instinct is to say that this one is a little bit more punchy from the dry soap. And so I may like the other one a little bit better in terms of dry, but who cares about that, right? Because let's wait and see how it is on the lather. But the reason I chose Stirling today was because it hit me as I was using the WSP. I've been on that Formula T kick for a while, for a couple of weeks now, or a few months actually, gradually accumulating a few here and there. I've got the Old Kentucky Barbershop, and Mahogany is a really good scent, but I don't think I have that in Formula T. And then the one I used recently, Matterhorn, and then Sandalwood. I like the Formula T base so much that I started gradually accumulating some soaps from them. And then it hit me that that cost was maybe $16, $17 for that puck. Now, it's a dense puck. It's 4 ounces. It's dense, and so I think the soap's going to last a good while. But then that hit me, wait a minute. I was looking at Stirling Ramblin' Man. I think that's going to be my next Stirling acquisition. Maybe do it next month or something like that. And then I looked and I saw it was 13 bucks. Some Stirling was 13 bucks. And I thought, wow, that's a few dollars less than WSP, and you get almost 6 ounces of soap. So in general, to me, unless you just have to have diversity, that puts them kind of at odds with each other. Let's see which one's better. Because I had gotten really, really nice shaves from that Formula T. That tallow was just excellent and smooth, creamy, terrific. I've gotten great soaps, great lathers from Stirling, of course, and so it's got tallow too. So that's why I chose Stirling for today. And we'll compare, see if I can compare the feel. And see if that means that in general I might recommend getting Stirling over WSP Formula T. Because it is cheaper, you get more, and many of the scents are similar. However, if you're looking for a sandalwood scent, you have to go with the WSP Formula T. Stirling sandalwood is really light, and it's a sweeter sandalwood. It's not really too much like the kind of the real authentic sandalwood, like at least the kind that I like from WSP. So they have the lock on the sandalwood scent. Okay, so I've used this a couple times. I've scooped it once and then probably brush lathered it once or twice. Let's show you the Nacet blade. Carefully, of course, we're dealing with the blade. And there we go. The little X is in this corner up here. And that's the business end. I'm always keeping that one on the bottom. Not to try to balance out shaves or anything, but just as a science experiment. I want to see what happens at the very end. When I retire this blade, I will switch and use the other side and see if there's any change in the feel at all. All right. Normally, it just doesn't matter which side you use. At least that's my belief, and many others, because the edge is the same either way. All right. I showed you everything. A little water on the face. And we don't need to bloom the soap. This is a soft soap. It's not a hard one. So often blooming it will change the composition a little bit, and sometimes in a negative way. So there are other YouTube shavers out there who like to bloom soap, and they've gotten into the habit of that. And unfortunately, they're popular and they pass it on to other people. But a lot in the shaving community have come to the consensus that it's definitely not necessary, and some makers have even said it's not advisable. All right. This is the second use of this Maseto brush. I've got hard water and it's tepid temperature as usual. Second use, and I think there's probably some hesitance in the hairs to absorb water because of the, I don't know, coating of shipping products, you know, that they use to preserve the bristles or something like that, you know. So it might need a few shaves to get in and get in with the programming and get all cleaned up and stuff. All right, so we're going to do a 25-second load today. 30-second loads have produced between 5 and 6 passes of lather, and let's see if we can be a little bit more economical than that. So a 25-second load, and we're going to start at 45, so we'll go to the 10 mark. Medium pressure here as usual. Now I already tried the Maseto Finest Badger. I've used it twice, and man, those tips are amazing. It's a little bit more stiff in terms of the backbone than the Silvertip will be, but man, those tips are crazy. And there we go, 25 seconds. Put that done. So here's what now I have the advantage of having a phone camera here that has a clock ticking down. Do you need a clock in your bathroom to count load time, you know? I mean, if you're that kind of person, okay, sure. So what can you do if you don't? Well, you can count number of swirls. You can maybe get a clock or something in your bathroom. You can just put a clock in your bathroom with a second hand. That's one thing. You can kind of time yourself doing some swirls. See how many swirls you do with your brush in 30 seconds. You could sing the alphabet song. I think that's 30 seconds long. So there's some different things you can do. You could also memorize, if you use the same soap and brush a lot, memorize the look of the lather, how much it looks like on your brush. So that's something you can do as well. You can also memorize the texture of the soap. As you keep going, it'll start to get thicker. You know, right now it's kind of airy and bubbly, and with this particular soap. But you can memorize the look of the surface of the soap as well. It'll start getting more pasty as you go along. So those are some marks you can do if you don't happen to have a clock. All right, one last splash on my face. And then, oh, no, I don't do that yet. No harm done. All right, so this Silvertip. Doesn't have as much backbone as the Finest Badger or the 2-bands. One of the reasons I really enjoy Silvertips. I like medium. I like medium backbone. However, if you combine a medium backbone brush with a highly dense brush, then a lot of times that can end up to be more backbone than I like. So this did not bubble up. I don't have enough water in my brush apparently to make that happen, and that's fine. It's staying pretty solid, and that's okay. And we'll go ahead and, now that I've kind of mixed that up, we'll go ahead and add, my notes were 4.5 teaspoons of water for about 30 seconds of lather. Let's just start with 2 teaspoons and then add more later. Since I reduced my load time to 25 seconds, I don't need to do the full amount of water, obviously. Roger Quintero's shave bowl, as usual. It's got those spirals in the bottom. It's a 3D printed bowl if you want to 3D print one of these yourself. If you have access to a printer, then you can download the files from Thingiverse. I've got a link in the body of this video, the description of this video. Now, because I think one of the things I'm discovering is that with my fingers, I've got long fingers, I've got a big hand, and so as you can see, I don't have a lot of room. I mean, there is a lot of room here, and so I'm basically just holding it by the waist if I'm using this type of grip. Now, if I switch to do this type of grip, I've got more leverage, and that's what I've been doing thus far in mixing this lather. And so if a waist is this small, for people of my hands, we might appreciate a thicker knob back here, and that indeed is what we get. Compare the thickness of these two. This is a much more ergonomic and easier to use handle for me. But I've modified my grip a little bit into this side grip kind of thing, and so it works just fine. It's not as good, but it's workable. This lather is looking very nice. Definitely not too wet. Stirling is a tremendous soap, and one of the things I like about it is its ability to hold water and still remain creamy. It doesn't break down nearly as quick as many other soaps, and so I can let it get, I can pull this up and get a nice long stringy chunk of lather, and it's really elastic, if I can use that term, which I often do. And it is still has a creamy feel. So I'm just going to compare the feel of this versus the WSP I've been using lately. So now we've got 3 teaspoons in it. Let's just check. I think maybe we'll go with that. Yeah, nice and slick. So I rinse my fingers off. Mix it a little bit more. Let's look at the elasticity now. We're gonna just kind of let the big ball drop. Now, I definitely often take Stirling farther than that. Now let's do the pull. Not super long. So you know what? I'm going to add a little bit more. Looks like I'm going to have plenty of lather for the job today. So that's good. That extra 5 seconds saved me some soap. I mean, soap is relatively cheap. When you consider how long it can last you, especially Stirling, since you get so much, that tub can last you a nice long time for a pretty low amount of money. Alright, let's do the pull again. Yep, a little bit longer. Nice. Let's just try this. I don't know if I may need to add some more water later, but let's try this. Water on my face. Yeah, definitely not too much. Not too much backbone for where I like it. The danger with a low level of backbone is that if it goes too far, it can just be floppy. Now, some people might actually enjoy a floppy brush. I know that for a long time, you know, brushes were that way. Some of them, you know, and you just kind of had to deal with it. You know what? This does feel just a touch pasty. Let's add another half teaspoon of water. I mean, a lot of people might think that this is hydrated properly, and it's your own preferences, you know. It might be for a lot of people. I like it as slick as I can get it, as wet as I can get it, while still being kind of creamy. Okay, so I've combined that half with what's in the bowl, and so I'm now going to use the syringe here to put a few drops and change the viscosity on my face. There we go. Well, that's it. Less pasty, more kind of smooth and creamy. I believe that'll be all I need to add. Once you've got enough shaves under your belt, you can start to feel the nuances of the lather. Enjoying this brush today. I believe it's better today than it was on that first time I tried it. The scent on this one a little stronger than the WSP, so it looks like Stirling's got that going for it. Non-shavable area there. I forgot that and gave myself just a little bit of razor burn down here with the saber yesterday, because that's just a soft area. There's some wrinkles there and all that, and so I forgot to be careful and not go over that area. All right, here we go. Shave 169 with this Nacet. Comfortable so far. Tiny bit of tugging, but nothing to remark about. So the WSP was a very protective soap. It looks like, of course, Stirling is going to be as well. Feels good. And there we go, first pass down. And now let's get back. Yeah, we still have tons of lather. Looks like maybe I could go with the 20-second lather. Yeah, this brush feels great. And this one is a fairly low-cost badger. If you want to get into the Simpsons and things like that, you will get into badgers that cost a lot of money. Somebody I consider pretty authoritative once said that the inexpensive Simpsons were not worth the money. Anything, a Simpson less than $100 is just, there are better ones out there for that money. They're just not good enough. If you want to go higher, then you're starting to get into some that might be worth using and worth the money. Just to pass that on. I don't own any Simpsons. I don't think, I mean, I've got so many good badgers. I don't think I ever will. Online, I had a friend who had a Simpson brush just go to pot, and he contacted them, and basically they told him he was up a creek. They weren't going to help him with his brush. I don't know if it was a case of he bought it from another reseller, you know, and so they wouldn't honor it. But I mean, it was obviously a flaw with their workmanship, but they wouldn't take care of it. And in my opinion, if you're going to charge people crazy amounts of money for a brush, then you kind of need to stand behind it a little better. But there are certain forums where if you say anything like that about Simpson, you'll get jumped on because they're just big fanboys of that, and they're kind of blind to weaknesses or criticisms. So anyway, that little tangent was because the Maseto brushes really aren't that expensive, and so what I'm experiencing so far, I'm really happy with the knot, and so I think it's a good way to get into. So far, at least, I've used each of mine. I got a finest and this Silvertip. I've used each of them twice. I think I'm going to use them a little bit more before I really start to refer people to them. Get a little bit more soap. I think my face started out a little bit wetter than previous passes. Yeah, so this lather is terrific. I like it just as good as WSP, I think. So either one is a great choice. Stirling enables you to get a nice slick lather. Now another advantage of having a really slick lather instead of one that's dry is that the lather rinses easily from your razor, and also because it rinses easily, it's less likely to leave any deposits. Or I just responded to a post a day or two ago, and it was from somebody who was having a problem getting into nicks and crannies in their razors to clean out the soap scum. And I've never had that be a problem. Maybe my lathers are just really hydrated properly and or well enough or high enough so that that's just never an issue. Rinsing cleans everything away real easy. So there's that. Now what we have left here, the patch that is still lathered, that's my trouble spot. So I'm going to carefully tug pull my skin, lift my chin away, and try the angle that often results in success. Lightly, again, pencil type grip is what I choose to keep very light pressure on the razor head to the skin. And there we go. I'm going to rinse. So, skin feels great, no irritation, nice smooth shave. I don't even really see a little bit of redness right here where I was going after that little trouble spot with a little bit more, a slight aggressive against the grain aspect to those passes, and that always sometimes, that's pretty funny. Sometimes in certain areas that'll generate a little bit of razor burn, which is why I avoid it generally. Well, Stirling soap, let's bring out a Stirling Balm Tuscany. And I recently have discovered that the scent here is from bergamot and violet, along with some spices. And prior to knowing that, I was claiming that it was like a wild cherry scent. And so I guess bergamot and violet kind of have an almost cherry-like scent when combined together with these spices. So the spices obviously tweaked it, like the wild aspect of it. But I like it a lot. Just a good general purpose balm that just happens to be one that I've been enjoying lately. Executive Man is another really good one that is popular for me after a shave. All right, great shave. The Nacet, 169 shaves now, and still giving me comfortable and close shaves. Excellent. And this this open comb razor, the Timeless, is the 68 is normally a little too aggressive for me to use with younger blades. But because the Nacet has smoothed out and dulled a little bit over time, obviously it's still razor sharp. It's still cutting hairs really well, but it enables it, that dullness, that smoothness enables it to work in a more aggressive razor that I usually can't enjoy to this level. How much soap do we have left over? Still like 2 passes, maybe even 3. How about that? And here's the viscosity that we were able to land on. Still keeps its shape. It's not, and Stirling's so awesome. If you like a thinner lather that's got tons of water, maybe you're a straight razor shaver, Stirling can accomplish that for you without a problem at all. Some soaps break down by that point, but Stirling won't. And it's pretty hilarious, but 5 teaspoons, almost 5 teaspoons is what we've got here. Yeah, because I added 3. Then I went ahead and added the 4th. And then I tweaked once I had that first pass on my face, I added more. So yeah, almost 5 teaspoons of water. So, really happy with this brush. Very comfortable, soft, not floppy in my opinion. It kept those tips on my face. So I really, really enjoy that. Really happy with that purchase. So for now at least, I think Maseto ranks as a very good option. Yaqui, Y-A-Q-I, are really kind of coming out now as a good budget brush, whether you want a synthetic or a Silvertip. They also have some 2 bands as well, the Finest Badger. And then they, let's see, yeah, there we go. They got some different handles for you. AliExpress, A-L-I, express.com is where you can get the Yaquis. And in many cases, a lot of those synthetic knots and some of the badger knots, they all come from China, pretty much. And so I'll bet that the knot that they have in the Yaqui brushes is very similar to some of the other knots that are around that have more expensive names. There's another one called Uomo, O-U-M-O, or something like that. That's kind of similar to the Yaqui, where they've got pretty inexpensive brushes that are probably the OEM not for a lot of other makers. But so the Maseto, great entry level, not entry level, but entry price. Nice low entry price, and I think it'd be a good badger brush. And both the finest, if you like a little bit more backbone. I'm sure the tips are treated because they're just so soft. And then the Silvertip, if you want it to be just a little bit softer in the whole composition of the brush, a little bit less backbone. But to me, not too much, but not too little backbone, not floppy. I think those are two excellent entries into the badger market. As in many cases with animal hair brushes, you'll get a lost hair. You can maybe go for certain makers and try not to have any shedding, but you know what, in general, you're gonna be paying them to comb a brush and pull out hairs. And to be honest, I'd rather do that myself and save a little bit of money. And so I don't mind losing 10 hairs a shave if it's just the first 2 weeks or so. I don't mind losing 5 hairs a shave if it's the first month. But once I get to about 50 shaves, I would expect for the hair loss to pretty much stop. And that's when I start to be concerned that that the brush might be a shedder and might not stop. I just wait. I'm not concerned at all until about 50 uses, 60, something like that. And every brush I've gotten has stopped by that point. I also help the shedding not to be worse by not soaking the entire brush prior to the shave. I only soak the bristles. I also don't soak in hot water. Hot water can expand and contract the glue balls and stuff that are the chunks of glue that are holding everything together. And if you expand and contract that glue ball with each shave, then I think you can kind of weaken it, maybe cause shedding, or even the knot to just fall out because of that. So I just soak the bristles myself, and I firmly believe that's a good thing to do, and I've just never had a problem with shedding on pretty much any brush I've ever had. So really liking this guy. He's a nice big bloom. He's just a 24mm knot, but this, you know, I think is a great size. And I like the kind of bulb shape. I think this is a modified bulb actually, but it's got because a true bulb I don't think has this little side right here, this little sharp side, and so this may be kind of a combo hybrid between a fan and a bulb. But I like this shape. So really soft tips, and nice backbone, and a very adequate density, pretty dense brush. So happy with this guy. We'll see if I keep him around. The only weakness is just that the thinness of this bulb right here at the end of the handle causes me not really to have as much leverage, because it's so, you know, it's just made for smaller hands, I think. I think that's really the issue. And so it makes me have to mix like this, and so I kind of end up getting my hand a little soapy. And oh man, I meant to use another bowl. There was another bowl downstairs that we brought, maybe got at a yard sale, and I thought it was a neat shape. I meant to use that one today. Oh well, forgot about it. All right. So wow, really happy with the brush, happy with the razor. Gave me a great close shave, no irritation, and enjoyed the soap. And yes, my final word after introductory trial is that the Stirling is just as good as the WSP Formula T. They're both tallow soaps, and but the thing is with Stirling, it gives you like twice as much for the money, because it's less money for the tub, and the tub has 2 ounces, 4 or 5, yeah, 2 more ounces, and so it's tremendous. It's a great deal, and you just get a lot more. Now, later on down the line, I'll see how many uses I get. I'll be able to track the uses out of that puck, out of the pucks of WSP that I have. So I'll be able to say, you know, maybe you only maybe get 4 ounces, but maybe you are able to use up less per shave, and so it might equal out. But right now I can't say that. So happy shave all the way around. Excellent, excellent. Hope there was something here for you. Love Stirling products. They have such a big selection. I'll also mention their samples. They give out big 2 ounce or 1 ounce samples They basically give you about a month of shaves. Yeah, so they must be 1 ounce. The discs they give out, and they're cellophane covered or some plastic, and don't stack them up if you get several, because the scents can bleed, you know, separate them. Each one is just a couple bucks, and it gives you a month of shaves. And so you could live off the samples and buy 12 different samples, and that'll be your whole year of shaves. And you could be able to flip-flop back and forth between different soaps and different scents and enjoy those. So that's, you know, that's a great way to learn about their soaps and try out. I love being able to experiment with new scents that you're not quite sure about. All right, well, this is Sugar Daddy Shaves. It's been a good one today. You take care.